Hello, everyone. Good to see you. Yep, gonna be doing a restream between a heated argument between Trump and Zelenskyy. All right, let's get it there. Hold on. Let me edit the title out. Hello, MGB. Hello, Melinda. Good to see you. So as you know, Trump had a meeting with Zelenskyy. So I'm actually going to restream it. Oh yeah, definitely interesting. Definitely an interesting day. Yep, there's definitely a breaking news. So Trump and Zelenskyy meet Oval Office meeting. So I'm gonna actually start. Hello, Justin. Oh yeah, definitely MGB. Definitely.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to have President Zelenskyy of Ukraine. And we've been working very hard, very close. So we've actually known each other for a long time. We've been dealing with each other for a long time and very well. We had a little negotiation spat, but that worked out great. I think for both countries, I think for the world, actually. And we have something that is a very, and we look forward to getting in and digging and working and getting some of the rare earth. But it means we're going to be inside, and it's a big commitment from the United States, and we appreciate working with you very much. And we will continue to do that. We have had some very good discussions with Russia. I spoke with President Putin, and we're going to try and bring this to a close. It's something that you want and that he wants. We have to negotiate a deal, but we've started the confines of a deal, and I think something can happen. The big thing is the number of soldiers, mostly at this point, but soldiers being killed. You're losing thousands of soldiers on both sides. We're losing a lot of soldiers, and we want to see it stop. And we want to see the money get put to different kinds of use, like rebuilding. And we're going to be working very hard. But we've had a lot of very good conversations. I will say until we came along, the Biden administration didn't speak to Russia whatsoever. They didn't speak to anybody. They just allowed this to continue. And I will say that I'll say in front of you, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. If I were president, this war would have never happened. We would have had a deal negotiated for you without having to go through what you've gone through. But your soldiers have been unbelievably brave. We've given them great equipment, but somebody has to use the equipment. They've been unbelievably brave, and we give them great credit. This was supposed to be over very quickly, and here we are 3 years later. So I give tremendous credit to your generals and your soldiers and yourself in the sense that it's been very hard fighting, very tough fighting. They're great fighters. And you have to be very proud of them from that standpoint. But now we want to get it over with. It's enough, right? We want to get it over with. So it's an honor to have you here. Thank you very much for coming. We're going to sign the agreement at the conference in the East Room in a little while, right after lunch. And we'll be having lunch together. We're also discussing some other things. And we appreciate everybody being here. It's somewhat of an exciting moment, but the really exciting moment is when they stop the shooting and we end up with a deal. And I think we're fairly close to getting that, and an honor to have you. And please, I'd like to say something.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you for invitation. And really, I hope that this first document will be first step to real security guarantees for Ukraine, our people, our children. I really count on it. And of course, we count that America will not stop support. Really, for us, it's very important to support and to continue it. I want to discuss it with details further during our conversation. And of course, the infrastructure or security guarantees, because for today, I understand what Europe is ready to do. And of course, I want to discuss with you what United States will be ready to do. And I really count on your strong position to stop Putin. And you said that enough with the war. I think that is very important, Ben, to say these words to Putin at the very beginning of war, because he is a killer and terrorist. But I hope that together we can stop him. But for us, it's very important to, to save our country, our values, our freedom and democracy. And of course, no compromises with the killer about our territories, but it will be later. And of course, what I wanted, we spoke about it by phone with you about the drones production. We have very good drones production. I think the best one in the world for today because of the war. Yes, and of course, we need very much the air defense. You have the best air defense in the world, and really you helped us under attacks of Russians. And I want to speak how we can exchange the licenses. We're open to share the licenses of all our drones with you, of course, with the United States. And we need licenses for quick production of air defense. Even after the war, we need our nation to be calm, that we are secure. So that's why we need this air shield. And of course, about this, I want to speak about the contingents. I think that France and UK already spoke to you, and we know that Europe is ready, but without the United States, they will not be ready to be as strong as we need. And the last point, last not least, about exchange, about our people and children. And you know that this crazy Russian, that they stolen 20,000 of children, Ukrainian children. They changed their names. They changed their families, relatives, and now they're in Russia. We want to bring them back. And really, it's a big dream, task, and goal for me and our warriors. By the way, Mr. President, we released more than 4,000 warriors from Russian prison, but there are thousands more in the prison. I wanted to share with you some images, how it's just can I now?
Yeah, please.
Some minutes, 1 minute. I just you to understand in what circumstances, in what situation they are, and what the attitude of Russia to our prisoners. That guys, just you before and after. And you see before and after, just you to understand. Now thousands of such guys, ladies and men, there, and that, so they don't eat, they beat them, and they, They do a lot of bad things. So out of even during the war, there are rules. Everybody knows there are rules during the war. So these guys, they don't have any rules. You see that 50, 60 kilograms left, and a lot of such things. And I didn't want to show you what the changes with images of children, because I will share with you. And I mean, it's looking tragic.
Yep, it's tough stuff.
I wanted very much to give you, and you see it.
Yeah.
This is pastor, by the way. They stolen pastors because it's not Russian church. They stolen pastors and moved pastors to the prison. We, at the end of last year, we brought 3 pastors, and we could exchange them. And this is pastor, you see.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. So I mean, this I wanted to show you, and this. So thank you very much.
We want to get that ended, right?
Yeah. Of course, we
And I
will.
think we will. And
We have to, of course.
do you have any questions, please?
Mr. President, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the, how much money is the U.S. going to put into the fund that is being created today, and how does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much, because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And as you know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth. And what we do have is protected by the environmentalists, but that can be unprotected, but still it's not very much. They have among the best in the world in terms of raw earth. So we're going to be using that, using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons and the military. And it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So it's something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil and we have a lot of gas. We have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need for computers, for all of the things we do. This puts us in great shape.
And the long-term security for Ukraine. How does this provide?
I think they're going to have great luck. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. I've spoken with President Putin, and I feel very strong. I've known him for a long time, and I feel very strongly that they're very serious about it, and we'll make a deal. And when the deal is made, I don't think we talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal, because right now, last week, 2,000 soldiers died on both sides. 2,000, and they're losing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a week. So as we sit here and we talk, people are getting shot and dying on the battlefield. And, they're not American soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers and they're Ukrainian soldiers, and we want to be able to stop it. And we want to be able also to spend money on other things. We don't want to, this is a tremendous amount of money. And what the Biden administration did was terrible. They were giving money, but he had no security on the money. Europe, as you know, gave much less money, but they had security. It was in the form of a loan. They get their money back, and we didn't. And now at least we're protected, because the American taxpayer has to be protected too. But this is an incredible agreement for Ukraine, because we have a big investment in their country now, and what they have, very few people have. And we're able to really go forward with very, very high-tech things and many other things, including weaponry that we're going to use in many locations, but that we need for our country. This allows us to do that.
But Mr. President,
Will you continue?
I'm sorry.
Sending military aid?
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just add, yes. In the document, there is one of the very important points. If we speak about business and investment, we never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see a really goodwill for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, it's Yeah, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. We use it for
Well,
Gen- we
yeah,
will
no
do it.
problem.
And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they have our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot.
You're nice.
Mr. President.
They
Yeah,
did.
really, they did.
They
I
gave a
think-
lot, but they gave much less,
No,
much less.
no, no,
Don't argue.
no.
Okay.
Okay.
But Mr. President, Mr. President,
Yeah, please.
Mr. President Trump, you have repeatedly called the deal with Ukraine as a historical one. And as a president of the United States, you make historical decisions in other issues which affect America and other world. So what place in the world history do you want to take? And do you associate yourself with any famous historical figures?
Yeah, I'd say George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. I would say I'm far superior to George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. Now, you know I'm only kidding, right? Because when I say that, the fake news is going to go wild. They're going to say he considers himself to be better than Washington. But you never know. You never know. I don't compare myself to anybody. I'm here to do a job. We've had a great 35 days or whatever it might be, a month, a little more than a month. We've accomplished tremendous amounts. Not only this would be a very great achievement if we could get the war stopped and get them back to normalization. I think that's going to happen. We've had very good talks on both sides, as you know. But I think we've done a very good job, just generally. If you look at all of the things we've done in 30 days, they're saying there's never been a opening for a president. The first month, there's never been a first month like we've had. And this is one of the very important things. This, to me, is one of the most important things because we have tremendous death taking place as we speak. And I don't want to have that. Think of the parents, whether they're in Russia or Ukraine, think of the parents of all these people being killed
Hello, NS.
needlessly.
They
Good to
came
see
to
you.
our territory.
Should have never started. This would have, if I were president, this would have never started.
Mr. President Trump,
Will you
President Trump.
continue sending military aid to Ukraine after the U.S. signs this agreement with Ukraine?
Yeah, we're
And the
going to be
question to
continuing.
President Zelensky.
Hello,
Do you
Denise.
feel
Good
like
to see
the
you.
U.S. is on your side, that the President
Caroline, good to see you.
Trump is on your side at this moment?
What do you think?
He wants to know, do you think that, sort of a stupid question. I guess we wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But,
I think that the United States on our side from the very beginning of occupation, and I think that President Trump on our side, and of course, I'm sure that the United States President will not stop support. This is crucial for us. It's important for us. Yes. And Putin, the president speaks about the people and the soldiers which are dying, but they came to our territory, they came to our land. They began this war and they have to stop. And I think this is the question, was really the most important question. Can President Trump, I hope yes, with some other allies to stop Putin, withdraw these enemies, our enemy, withdraw these troops from our land? And I think that you asked about the history, I think that if President or when he will stop Putin, if President Trump will bring peace to our country, I think he will be on this wall. I think.
We've had very, very good talks.
Mr. President,
What about military aid to Ukraine?
President Zelensky just said that there'll be no compromises with Vladimir Putin. I just wanted to ask both of you. Firstly, are there compromises that you think that President Zelensky is going to have to make? And President Zelensky, is there anything that you might be thinking that you may be able to offer or bring to the table, for example, elections? Thank you.
I think you're going to have to always make compromises. You can't do any deals without compromises. So certainly he's going to have to make some compromises, but hopefully they won't be as big as some people think you're going to have to make. That's all. It's all we can do. I'm here as an arbitrator, as a mediator to a certain extent between two parties that have been very hostile. To put it mildly, they've been very hostile. There's been a vicious war. There's been a vicious war. You know, it's a very level battlefield, and those bullets go out. And as I've said many times, we were talking about it with Pete, many times, the only thing stopping those bullets is a human body. And in the case we're talking about, generally young human bodies are stopping a lot of bullets. It's dead level. That's why it's great farmland. It's great land. It's great farmland, but there's very little protection against the bullets that are being, and other things that are being shot. So all I can do is see if I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Will President Putin have to make compromises?
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended foreign wars? And I've got a question.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to be remembered as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing if we could do this. I'm doing this to save lives more than anything else. Second is to save a lot of money, but I consider that to be far less important. So I hope I'm going to, thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known and recognized as a peacemaker. This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war. This was headed in the wrong direction. If this election were lost, if we didn't win this election, and by the way, we won it by a lot. That was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything. The districts, you look at the areas of red, take a look at a map. This was a big mandate. And this was one of the things I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war. And that would not have been a good situation. What was your second
And
question?
my second question for President Zelenskyy. Why don't you wear a suit? Why don't you wear a suit? You're the highest level in this country's office and you refuse to wear a suit. Just want to see if do you own a suit?
Yeah, problems.
A lot of Americans have problems with you not
Really?
respecting.
I don't have
the people's
such-
office.
I will wear costume after this war will finish.
Okay.
Yes, maybe one,
Maybe something like this.
something like
Yes,
yours.
sir.
Yes,
That'd be great.
maybe something better. I don't know. We will see.
Yeah.
Maybe something cheaper than Thank you.
President Trump, you said yesterday, thank you, President Trump. You said yesterday that you have.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine. Yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking forward to sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war finished so we can do other things. But we very much appreciate the agreement because we needed what they had. And we're treating, our country is now treated fairly. Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This should have never started. But, sure, the answer is yes. But hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
Does that mean you'll provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. The security is the easy part. Security is very nice. Everybody stopped shooting. And now will Europe put people there? I know France is going to. I know the UK is going to. I know other countries are going to, and they happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back.
President Zelenskyy is shaking
When
his
this
head.
deal
no,
ends, I really
Mr.
believe
President.
this deal is going to be over.
Well,
Question? Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay,
President,
Leon.
Thank you.
I hear you.
Dominic Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Oh, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American News does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no money to $300 billion in a period of 4 years. And they gave a lot of that money away. And you see what happened. And that's a real mess also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. It's just, I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes,
President
if I
Zelenskyy.
can answer,
Please,
sorry,
go ahead.
please,
Mhm.
please.
And I do like your clothing, brother.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a
Yeah,
great guy,
yeah.
by the way. But I don't know if you two like each other, but you know what? I think
No,
he's
I
dressed
like
beautifully.
this guy, I don't know.
I think he's dressed beautifully.
So
Hey,
I
Mr.
have
Mann,
more,
good to see you.
I have more serious things than answer on such
Yes,
question.
yes, that's a
I will
good-
answer on more serious
good
question if
statement.
I can.
Yes.
Yeah, so please, about security guarantees and about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak.
It's okay,
It will
Leon.
not work. Just ceasefire will not
No,
never
most of the
work.
memberships are
Because
random
I'm like
anyway.
president, I have this
Good.
experience, and not only me. Ukraine before my presidency, from the 2014, Putin broken 25 times. 25 times he broken his own signature. 25 times he broken ceasefire.
But
It was
he never broke
irrelevant.
to me. He
It-
never broke.
No,
to
no,
me.
you were the president.
He
You
never
were the
broke-
president
he
during
never broke.
I mean,
to me.
you don't have to be a
2016,
member.
you've been the president.
Ledger here.
Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those periods, he had conversations with our side. And we had Normandy format, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees.
You're right.
Security
You're right,
guarantees.
MGB.
Maybe President is right about this document and other, but this document is not enough. Strong army is enough because his soldiers afraid, Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers when we're strong enough. If we are not strong enough, if we are empty, if our storage is empty, we can't defend our land. Today, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't want. But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do it. Security. When we speak about security guarantees, when the Europeans are ready for contingents, they need USA backstop. If there will not be United States, we will not never have any contingents, strong contingents from the Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States as the main and strongest ally and Europeans. This is crucial. This is important. That's what we want to speak about very much. This is very important. And air defense. So air defense, really, we have big deficit with all the systems, and we need to provide this. We need it very much. Otherwise, Putin will never stop and will go further and further. He doesn't want. He hates us. It's not about me. He hates Ukrainians. He thinks that we are not a nation. He thinks, and he shared these thoughts. I think maybe with your team also. I don't know, but with all the Europeans
Straight to the
in
middle.
media, officially and not, he always said that there is no such country, such nation, such language, and such life like Ukrainian. No, he really doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us.
Yeah.
And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to pay. This is the rule. This is the rule of the war. This is the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay.
Do you agree,
This is
President
the
Trump?
rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course, some Russian assets, what we have
Thank you for the 99
about 300 billion. We can use them.
And super
We can
chat.
use for innovation and
Stickers,
buy
sorry.
military support from the United States also. We can do it, but it's not enough. It's not enough.
I asked this question that you didn't like, because I wanted to know.
Brian, please, wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like, because I wanted
I
to
meant to
know
say super sticker.
if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and Ukraine, or on the Ukraine side.
I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about. I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, it's going to happen. But I want to see it get solved.
In Europe, after Russian invasion, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country. Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I love this,
Very
and you
committed
get to
to
see it.
Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. They, as you know, they paid more than they had to.
Oh, yeah.
They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
What about Baltics?
Poland's in a tough neighborhood, you know.
What about the Baltics?
The Baltics, they got a lot of, it's a tough neighborhood too, but we're committed. We're going to be very committed, and we're committed to NATO. But NATO has to step up, and the Europeans have to step up more than they have. And I want to see them equalize, because they are in for far less than we're in, and they should be at least equal. You understand that? Why is the United States, we have an ocean in between. Why is the United States in for so much more money and other things as Europe? With that being said, and as you said, they've also been obviously very helpful, but we have put in far more than they have.
Mhm.
And I think they should equalize.
Mr. President,
Yeah, please, go ahead.
About the agreement today, what changed between the first time that Secretary Bessent gave President Zelensky the agreement and today for the signing?
We made a deal. So
What was the
I'm
difference?
just-
Was there a deciding factor? or was there-
I'm a business person. We made a deal. That's what changed.
A lot of those minerals.
I didn't think we were going to make a deal. And we ended up making the deal. So that changed.
Mr. President, when and how do you envision a trilateral summit with President
Yeah.
Zelensky and Putin?
I don't know,
in
but
these
it's, well, they
circumstances?
don't like each other. I can tell you that. Okay. They do not like each other.
I
It's
know.
not a love match.
Yeah, and I know.
And it's unfortunate. That's why you're in this situation. The United States should not have allowed this to happen. Okay? The United States, run by a man that didn't know much, I'm going to be very nice, run by an incompetent person, very incompetent person, should never have allowed this to happen. I've stopped wars. I've stopped many wars. My people will tell you, I stopped wars that nobody ever heard about. I stopped wars before they ever started. You can look at some of, I could give you a lot of nations that would tell you right now they were probably going to war. I could tell you right now there's a nation thinking about going to war on something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it, but it should have never happened.
Mr. President?
About sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I wanted to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, more than Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the anyway will be at the negotiation table. Then, of course, United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course, Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. Really recognize that we are defending the line, and they have real life, and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also, it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have a big, nice ocean. Yes, between us. But if we will not stay, Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics.
It's understandable
for them because they've been
Russia
in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers. It doesn't matter. Do you have ocean or not? Your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine, maybe Kiev or Odessa, which is going to be a very year of the Black Sea?
It was my question.
Sorry.
I don't want to talk about Odessa now. Let's not talk about Odessa. I want to talk about making a deal, getting peace. We don't have to talk about Odessa.
No problem.
But a lot of cities have been destroyed. A lot of cities that are not recognizable. There's not a building standing.
Just needed a
and a lot of things.
Mr. President, you have to come and to look.
Late night.
No. We have very good cities. Yes, a lot of things have been destroyed, but mostly cities alive, and people work, and children go to school. Sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes closer to front line, children have to go to underground schools or online. But we live. Ukraine is fighting, and Ukraine lives. This is very important. And maybe it's Putin is sharing this information that he destroyed us. No, he lost 700,000 people, 700,000 soldiers. He lost everything. Yes. So,
Mr. President, when did you last
on the minerals deal.
Mr. President, when did you last speak with President Putin, and what did he say that
A couple of days ago.
And what did he tell you that gave you the assurance that he wanted peace?
Well, that's what I do. My whole life is deals. I know pretty good. And I've known him for a long time. I've dealt with him for a long time. He had to suffer through the Russia hoax. You know, Russia was a hoax. It was all Biden. It was nothing to do with him. So he had to suffer through that, and he was able to do that. I think that he wants to make a deal, and he'd like to see it end. That's all I do. That's what I do. My whole life, that's what I do is make deals. I'm in the middle of a mess because this is a real mess. It's a very dangerous one. If this doesn't get solved now, it's not going to get solved for a long time. So I hope we're going to get it solved. In the back, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Prime Minister Starmer claimed repeatedly that his government believes in free speech and was not engaged in censorship. But his country's government arrests people for memes and thought crimes, and even more worrisome is pressuring American companies to censor Americans on its behalf. How can he be a reliable, trustworthy partner when he says things that are demonstrably false on such an important topic?
Well, we actually spoke to him about that yesterday, and we thought they took it very, very much too far. JD was very strong on it. So was I. So was Marco. And we've been speaking to him about it. Marco, would you like to say something about it?
We have concerns, obviously, with the conduct of those, particularly as it impacts Americans. And there's real concern that American speech, which is online, could fall into the hands of British or any country's jurisdiction. And so this is a point the Vice President made at Munich, and I think it's a very compelling one, that what unites us with Europe, as much as anything else, is these shared values, and one of them being free speech. And so if Americans are threatened by it, we're going to need to take action in that regard.
Yes.
It's actually a very important question.
We spoke about this in detail with the Prime Minister, the Foreign Secretary, and others at lunch yesterday. And I know that Secretary of Commerce Lutnick followed up in private meetings last night. This is really important. We believe Americans have the right to speak their mind, even if we in this room disagree with them. They have the right to speak their mind in the public square, which is often online these days. And we're going to defend that right as it pertains to American companies and American citizens vigorously if we have to. I do think that under the president's leadership, we're going to find common ground with our friends in the UK on this question, but it remains to be seen. The principle that will guide us is We believe in free speech in this country, and we'll fight for it for American citizens.
Mr. President, Mr. President.
Oil and gas component to the deal? Is it all
A
critical
little
minerals
bit, we'll see.
on LNG?
But we're not really looking for that so much. We got a lot. We have more than anybody in the world by far. So no, we're not talking about it too much, but a little bit. I think it affects also, but for the most part, no.
And sir, is there any agreement from Ukraine to purchase US LNG as part of the deal, or is that on the table at all?
No.
Some of those,
We don't need that.
some of those minerals are in the east, Mr. President.
You just mentioned that you'd spoken to Vladimir Putin a couple of days ago. Just to be clear, that's a new call, not the one that you were
I've
talking.
spoken to him on numerous occasions.
Okay. And how was the latest call? What did you discuss? How did it go?
Are you serious with that question?
I am. I'd love to know.
It went well. I think we're going to have a deal.
On the minerals deal, Mr. President, some of those minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest
Well,
there?
we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about. So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interest? Would that be Ukrainian
They'll be
forces,
protected.
European
The agreement
forces,
will protect them.
U.S.
The
forces?
agreement, yeah, we're signing an agreement. You know?
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots? What would
I
you do
just told
then?
you, I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why
You know, they ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions.
why you have confidence that Putin won't violate
Focus
a
on
deal?
surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive.
People will ask why you have confidence Putin won't violate the deal.
I already mentioned Poland. Poland was under Russian control for decades after the Second World War. When I was a kid, I looked at the United States not only as a most powerful country, richest country in the world, the country that has great music, great movies, great muscle cars, but also as a force for good. And now I'm talking to my friends in Poland, and they are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world, I'm aligned with the world. And I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that. But I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough.
Yeah, no problem.
But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I want to respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, parts of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 is
Well, 2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but,
That's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, The situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems? What, bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful
I will answer.
to come to the Oval Office of the United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you. But you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know that.
bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this.
what
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel
Here we go,
We're
the
gonna
end,
feel
right?
very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you, you
strong.
will feel
There
influence.
goes
You're
the
right now
argument
not in a
now.
very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right
From
about
the
it.
Better
very
get that
beginning
done
of the
on
war,
You're not in a
Mr.
good
President,
position.
I
You don't
was-
have the cards right now. With us, you start
I'm
having
not playing
cards. But
cards.
right now, you
I'm
don't,
very
you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War III. And
Okay.
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you,
respect to you.
far more than a lot of people said
With
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
You said thank
Even
you.
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the
What-
United States
what
of
are you
America
speaking about?
and the president who's trying to save
Yeah.
your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very
What do you
loudly
expect
about the
from-
war, you
He's
can.
not speaking loudly.
President
He's
of
not
Ukraine?
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can-
trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking.
Yeah,
Your
Tara.
country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this.
That's,
I-
you
You
don't
have
do
a damn
disrespect.
good chance of
We are
coming out
staying-
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank-
president, $350 billion.
You
We
voted
gave
for
you
your president.
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If-
West?
If you didn't
You
have our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from
Trump is
Putin.
not-
In 3 days.
Trump is not
This is
playing
something
Maybe
around.
less.
in 2 weeks. Of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to
disrespect the
do
country,
business
you
like this. I
disrespect
tell
the-
you.
You
Everyone.
say thank you.
I said a lot of
Except
times
that
thank
there-
you
except
to
that-
American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I
out
understand,
there.
sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't-
Yeah.
please,
you're running
Mr.
low
President.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I wanted this. Look, If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war,
But you're saying you don't want a
But I
ceasefire.
said to you.
I want a
With
ceasefire
guarantees.
because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That
It
wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what.
That
what
wasn't
is-
with me.
It
That was with
wasn't you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your-
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me, that was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do we do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
What
She's
if
asking,
Russia-
what if Russia
Putin
breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
But they can
Okay?
break the
What if they
ceasefire.
broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me.
But all-
Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that stuff. All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he did. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you can make a deal. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think?
What's this negotiation going to look like?
This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right. We'll see what we can do about this.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody out. Can you still negotiate?
Got it?
Step back to the right.
Oh, you can, they'll be out of business now. Hello, everybody.
Hello, sir.
You tell me when you're ready.
Head on and cuts ready?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, we're signing a regulation bill, and you might want to discuss it, please. Somebody could
Yes.
explain it.
This is an executive order called Unleashing Prosperity Through Deregulation. So it slashes unnecessary regulations, which will put more money in Americans' pockets, unleash economic growth, and guarantee that the United States of America remains the strongest competitor on the world market. And in order to achieve that, this order requires a rigorous regulatory budget process. So for each new regulation issued, at least 10 prior regulations will be identified for elimination.
So 1 for 10. That's never been done before. We came very close to doing it in the first term. And we'll be able to easily do it, I think, in this term, and that'll have a big impact on regulation, getting rid of so many ridiculous regulations. And very importantly, Doug Burgum and Catherine, incredible governor of North Dakota, as you know, and did a really great job. And I asked him to serve as the Department of Energy, the secretary, and he is he's agreed to do it. And in many ways, the United States, I guarantee it's going to prove to be correct that the United States is very lucky to have them. Because they're a great team, great man and wife, great talent. So we are going to be working, and you're going to be working very hard with Chris Wright over at Energy. And we have a lot of land. We have more land than anybody else in the world that has energy under it, namely, I call it liquid gold, but oil and gas and other things. And he'll be seeking that out, and he's going to help our country to become extremely liquid and extremely wealthy again. And I don't think it'll take too long. He's ready to go, right? He just got approved, as you know, by the Senate. So it was pretty good. We want to thank everybody, and we want to thank Senator Thune for moving it along. And if you could give me his commission, we'll sign it. Thank you very much. And if you'd like to ask a question of the new secretary, it's a very interesting title, but it's a pretty great title, right?
Yes.
Cabinet member and everything else.
What is your first priority as Secretary of Interior, sir?
Well, as you've heard President Trump say, we have to turn the ship around. If Interior was a public company, its stock would be in the tank. Revenue has been declining. Production of revenue for American taxpayers is down. The deregulation executive order, which President Trump just signed, extremely important because we have to shorten the time it takes to build things in America. And not only do we have to produce more energy, we've got to produce more critical minerals in this country. And we're talking across the whole country, including Alaska, especially a big opportunity. Interior, if it was a company, has the largest balance sheet in the world. 500 million acres of public land, 700 million acres of subsurface, over 2 billion of offshore acres. These are all assets that belong to the American people. We all talk about the debt that America has, this 36 trillion. We have perhaps hundreds of trillions of dollars of assets that we need to manage smartly, sustainably for the benefit and the use of the American people.
Mr. President, is there anything China, Canada, and Mexico can do tonight to forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow?
No, not right now, no.
Not a negotiating tool?
No, it's not. No, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all three of them. And in one case, they're sending massive amounts of fentanyl, killing hundreds of thousands of people a year with the fentanyl. And in the other two cases, they're making it possible for this poison to get in, number one. And number two, we have big deficits, and it's something we're doing, and we'll possibly very substantially increase it. We're not. We'll see how it is. But it's a lot of money coming to the United States. As you know, we have about a $200 billion deficit with Canada, getting close to $200 billion. They've treated us very unfairly. And I say, why should we be subsidizing Canada? It's wonderful. I have so many friends in Canada. It's a great place.
Is there a concession
But,
you're looking for, sir?
No, we're not looking for a concession. And we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We'll see what happens. So with Mexico, it's the same thing. We have a $250 billion deficit, and we have a lot of people coming into the border. And now we've largely stopped that, but we've stopped that ourselves. And I think they've done a fantastic job. You've seen the numbers; they've dropped to almost zero. But we've suffered under the past administration for years and years. We've suffered with millions of criminals coming into our country. Criminals, people from jails from all over the world. They come through Mexico, and they come through Canada too. A lot of them come through Canada, and a lot of fentanyl comes through Canada. And China makes the fentanyl. China makes the fentanyl, gives it to Mexico, puts it through Canada, puts it through different places, mostly Mexico, but also a lot through Canada. And so all three haven't treated us very well.
There are significant.
Could I ask you about your meeting with NVIDIA? What did you talk about, and do you think you need to ban more of the chips that they're selling to China?
Well, he's a great gentleman, and I hadn't met him. He's the biggest in the world in terms of chips. And I can't say what's going to happen with it. We had a meeting. It was a good meeting. But eventually, we're going to put tariffs on chips. We're going to put tariffs on oil and gas. That'll happen fairly soon. I think around the 18th of February. And we're going to put a lot of tariffs on steel. We already have tariffs on steel, and we've saved our steel industry, but that was relatively small compared to what it'll be. But we're going to be putting tariffs on steel and aluminum and ultimately copper. Copper will take a little bit longer, and that'll happen pretty quickly. It'll mean it'll be a great boost for our steel industry. It'll make our steel industry very strong. If I didn't put the tariffs on years ago on steel, which actually Biden left because there was so much money that they couldn't do anything about it, I think we would have lost. We wouldn't have one steel mill in this country if I didn't do that. We saved the steel industry. So it was an honor to do it. And I think the people that love me most in the whole world are people that make steel. But we're going to be putting sometime this month, next month, we're going to be putting tariffs on steel and aluminum. And we'll give you an announcement as to what the exact date is. But it'll be a tremendous amount of money for our country. A tremendous amount. These are big numbers. And in addition,
All right, Leanne, thank you
that,
so much for
and
popping
you see
in.
the power of the tariff. I mean, the tariff.
Have a great
nobody
one.
can compete with us because we have by far the biggest piggy
Thank you
bank.
once again for all the
And
donors.
so that'll
too.
take place very quickly. But also, we'll be doing pharmaceuticals. And to bring our industry back, we want to bring pharmaceuticals back to the country. And the way you bring it back to the country is by putting up a wall. And the wall is a tariff wall. We were the richest country in the world. We were at our richest from 1870 to 1913. That's when we were a tariff country. And then they went to an income tax concept. And, how did that work out? It's fine. I mean, it's okay, but would have been very much better. So we'll be doing pharmaceuticals, importantly, and drugs, medicines, et cetera, all forms of medicine and pharmaceuticals. And we'll be doing, very importantly, steel. And we'll also be doing chips and things associated with chips.
And sir, what do you plan on talking with the Japanese Prime Minister about next Friday when you all meet?
Well, he's coming in next week. I don't know, he asked for a meeting, and I have great respect for Japan. I like Japan. Prime Minister Abe was a very close friend of mine. What happened to him was so sad, one of the saddest days. But they're coming in to speak to me, and I look forward to it.
Mr. President, on the crash, do you have any concerns that your commentary about things you have described as common sense or your observations could in any way interfere with the thorough investigation of the crash?
No, I think they'll do an investigation. It'll probably come out the way I said it. I like to put it up front. I'm so tired of listening to things happen to our country, and then people say, we'll do an investigation, and 3 years later, they come out with a report that nobody looks at. Especially, not in all cases can you do that, but in this case, you had a helicopter that was, the Black Hawk was too high.
All right, Denise, thank you so much
Above
for
the
popping
200
in.
limit by double. Shouldn't have been there. And there were some other mistakes made too, and I pointed them out also, and I was right on all of it, but they'll still do an investigation just to check it out. But I think
As
that's
Commander-in-Chief, are you at all concerned about opining about the Army and the conduct of that aircraft when you are Commander-in-Chief and these are the people who report to
No,
you
no.
and there is an investigation ongoing?
This was all caused by bad rules, regulations, and other things by Biden, the
What
Biden
tells you that,
administration. And when you look at the way they ran things, in fact, if you look, we hired, one of the first things I told them to do, I said, get talented people in those beautiful towers overlooking runways. You better get them in there fast because we don't have people there that are qualified. And you knew that because planes were landing very, very late. They were circling all over the place. We had people that didn't know what the hell they were doing.
And so there are planes in the air everywhere and there are other air traffic. Pardon me, sir.
We have to have the best people, the smartest people, the sharpest people as control tower experts. And that's what they have to be. They have to be experts and they have to be very smart. And we didn't have our best. And if you read the quote that I read yesterday at the news conference, it talked about people that were psychologically injured were okay and people that had lots of problems were okay. I'd read it again if you'd like me to, but I don't think I have to
Does that
waste
give you
your time.
concern though, sir, with planes in the air all around the country, people relying on that as safety? Are you suggesting there's an ongoing risk?
No, I think there's very little risk, but I think that we have to make sure that this never happens again. Very, very little risk. And we're taking actions that this can't happen again. The helicopter, as you know, was out of its zone. Shouldn't have been out of its zone. It was at the same height as the airplane. Now, the airplane was coming down on its track. It was perfect. It was in perfect shape coming down, and something was in its way. You can't let that happen. And it won't be happening again. And this was all because of weak rules in the Biden administration. And we're just not going to let that kind of thing happen again. And again, I could wait and I could, give a report in 2 years like they always do. And sometimes it's obvious. In this case, to me, it was very obvious. And I think I've been proven to be very correct. Yeah.
Hello, Cindy. Good to see you.
I expect a lot of good things. From all meetings, I expect good things. Marco Rubio, as you know, is going to make a tour of various countries in South America. He's going to be meeting in Panama, where Panama's treated us very badly. They gave him, rather foolishly, a thing called the Panama Canal, the most expensive project we ever built, if you look at today's numbers. Most expensive ever built. We lost 38,000 men. In that case, all men, just about all men. 38,000 to the mosquito, to malaria and various other problems that you get from jungles. It was a tremendously costly event. We built the Panama Canal 110 years ago. Think of it, the most expensive development we ever did. And really one of the wonders of the world, one of the great wonders of the world. And we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama. And Panama's been ripping down all the China language signs. They've been working like mad to try, but about 70% of the signs were up and they were written in Chinese, and that's not the deal. So we're going to take it back. They've already offered to do many things, but we think it's appropriate that we take it back. They've totally violated the agreement. We have an agreement. They violated the agreement, and Marco Rubio's going over there to talk to the gentleman that's in charge.
Do you still think it's a good idea for Jordan and Egypt to be taking in Palestinians when they reject the idea and the Palestinians who are living now in Egypt?
I think Jordan will take people from Gaza. And I think Egypt will take them also. I mean, I heard somebody said they're not going to, but I think they will. I feel confident they will.
Mr. President, will tomorrow's tariffs include oil?
What?
Will tomorrow's tariffs be inclusive of Canadian crude?
I'm probably going to reduce the tariff a little bit on that. We think we're going to bring it down to 10% on the oil. So it's 25% on the Canada side.
Mr. President, are these tariffs stacking on top of already existing tariffs? Or
Yes,
this will be the
on top of whatever may be existing.
Mr. President, ask you a question about Venezuela. Rick Cornell was seen on state TV shaking hands with President Maduro. Is there any concern that that might lend legitimacy to the Maduro administration?
No, we want to do something with Venezuela. I've been a very big opponent of Venezuela and Maduro. They've treated us not so good, but they've treated, more importantly, the Venezuelan people very badly. We have tremendous Venezuelan population. I got 92% of the vote, the Venezuelan vote. Now we want to see what we can do to get people back in their homeland safe, free, and all. He's meeting with a lot of different people, but we are for the people of Venezuela. We're for the Venezuelan Americans. If you look at it, we have them all in Florida, right around the Doral area. That's really, they call it Little Venezuela, right? And they voted for me close to 100%. So we'll see what we can do to straighten out the situation in Venezuela. Venezuela has been very unfortunate. I was very surprised when I saw that Biden agreed to buy a lot of oil from Venezuela, because Venezuela was just about finished, the dictator. And when that happened, it brought him back to life. You know, Biden went out and they buy millions of barrels of oil. I say, what's that all about? So we're not going to let that stupid stuff happen. So we'll see what happens. We're not happy with Venezuela. We don't like the way they've treated the Venezuelans at all.
Mr. President, there have been some warnings or messages that government websites will be shut down this evening to scrub them of DEI content. Can you confirm if that's
What's
accurate?
been shut down?
Government websites, will be shut down this evening to scrub them of DEI content. Can you confirm whether that's accurate and if there are any concerns?
I don't know.
about-
It doesn't sound like a bad idea to me. DEI is would have ruined our country, and now it's dead. I think DEI is dead, so if they want to scrub the website, that's okay with me, but I can't tell you. I guess probably certain people handle it certain ways, but I'll tell you who's very happy about it, the military. The real leaders, the real generals in the military, they're very happy about it. Doug is very happy about it. He's got a big group of people that are going to be working for him, are really starting right now. He just got signed up, and they're very happy about it. He had a lot of DEI. Everybody did, but he has not been a fan. It was really hurting our country badly. It's costing a lot of money too. You see the kind of money we're talking about? Hundreds of millions of dollars for nonsense. Now we have our country back now. Our country is back, and it's a nice thing to say. I've never seen such love. I've never had anything like it. I've never seen anything like it. People are coming up, sir, thank you for bringing our country back. We were losing our country, and I think we're stronger now than we've been in many, many decades.
And the Department of
update on your call with
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we'll be speaking. We'll be speaking, and I think we'll perhaps do something that'll be significant. We want to end that war. That war would have never started if I was president, and we want to end that war. That war is a horrible war. Millions of young people are being killed, mostly on the lines now, mostly soldiers. But the cities have been largely destroyed, many of them. They're like demolition sites. But the soldiers are just shooting at each other. You know, it's a very flat land. I said this the last time, very, very flat land. The only place that a bullet stops is when it hits a person. And they're hitting a lot of people. They're hitting a lot of soldiers, but on both sides. You know, I think Russia would probably say close to 800,000, and Ukraine 600,000 or 700,000. And it's just a senseless situation, and it's got to stop. So whatever I can do to stop it, and we are having discussions, yes.
Ongoing, already scheduled and ongoing? Have you-
Already talking, yes.
So you've already spoken to Vladimir Putin
I don't want to
since?
say that, but we are having very serious
Is
discussions.
the reason you
about-
don't want to?
Well, I just don't want to say that. We're having very serious discussions about that war, trying to get it ended.
With Russia?
With Russia, yeah.
At the Department of Justice and the FBI, there are a number of high-level people who are being asked to resign or are being told they are going to be fired. Did you specifically request any actions at the Bureau or DOJ with respect to those employees?
No, but we have some very bad people over there. It was weaponized at a level that nobody's ever seen before. They came after a lot of people, like me, but they came after a lot of people. No, I wasn't involved in it. I'll have to see what is exactly going on after this is finished. But if they fired some people over there, that's a good thing, because they were very bad. They were very corrupt people, very corrupt, and they hurt our country very badly with the weaponization. They used the Justice Department to go after their political opponent, which in itself is illegal. And obviously it didn't work.
Are you going to impose tariff on the European Union?
What does that mean?
Are you going to impose tariff too on European Union like you are going to do for Mexico and Canada?
Well, you're asking me a question, because I'm sure you didn't hear. Am I going to impose tariffs on the European Union? Do you want the truthful answer, or should I give you a political answer? Absolutely. Absolutely. The European Union has treated us so terribly.
You promised Americans to try to reduce costs, and so many of the products
Yeah.
that would be tariffed, when they come into the country, the outgoing country is not paying the tariff. The buyers in the United States pay that, and then that's passed on to consumers in
Right.
most instances.
Sometimes.
How would you expect to have prices come down if you have such a broad plan for tariffs? And what do you say to the voters who want to see you reduce everyday costs?
Well, let me just tell you that I got elected for a lot of reasons. Number one was the border. Number two was inflation, because I had almost no inflation. And yet I charged hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs to
Doing well,
countries.
Cindy. Thank you so
And
much
think
for
of it,
asking.
I had almost no inflation and
Doing better.
took in $600 billion of money from other countries. And tariffs don't cause inflation, they cause success, cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that. I had that when I negotiated some of the good deals for the farmers. And unfortunately, those deals have been led astray by Biden and his people because they didn't enforce the deals. We have a deal with China, which is phenomenal for the farmers, but there was nobody to enforce it in the Biden administration. They let them get away with murder. So that's another thing we're going to be bringing.
Do you accept
They
the
committed,
principle
wait a
of
minute,
costs
they
being passed
committed to
on?
buying $50 billion worth of farm product, and they did it when I was president. And as soon as I left, they stopped doing it because there was nobody in Biden to enforce it. But the tariffs are going to make us very rich and very strong, and we're going to treat other countries very fairly. But if you think about it, other countries charge us tariffs. We don't charge them tariffs. And it's about time that that changes.
Sir, are you concerned about the market reaction around tariffs?
No, no, tariffs, the word tariff is a very misunderstood word. You've heard me say, I say it kiddingly, but it's one of the most beautiful words in the dictionary, really is. And we've been taken advantage of because others have charged us VAT. As an example, the European Union charges us 20% plus a VAT tax, called a VAT tax, very similar. And it costs us an absolute fortune. We are treated so badly. They don't take our cars. They don't take our farm products, essentially. They don't take almost anything. And we have a tremendous deficit with the European Union. So we'll be doing something very substantial with the European Union. We're going to bring the level up to where it should be. And if you think of the European Union, then you go to NATO, it's largely the same group of countries. Until I came along, I mean, we were paying almost 100% of NATO only to get bad trade deals. And now it's been evened out.
You're right,
Very
Mr.
unfair
Mann.
having to do, it was
Definitely.
evened out pretty good. Actually, I did a good job. They paid $440 billion if you look at the Secretary General's report, and he was here recently and he said that. He said one of the most amazing things I've ever seen is what President Trump was able to do with these countries of Europe, of which he was in charge of them, but he couldn't get them to pay. I went over, I said, you got to pay. And if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you. It's very simple. But very unfair is with Ukraine because we're in for $300 billion plus, and they're
That's
in
right,
probably for
Mr. Mann.
$100 billion. There's a $200 billion difference, and they need it more than we do. You know, we have an ocean in between. They don't. And so they're going to have to step it up a little bit.
With efforts to reduce the federal workforce, whether it's offering what we've called the buyout package or other efforts, do you have any concerns that there will be employees broadly across the federal government who might take that up? And they're a part of the many different ways that agencies protect the public, from food inspections to water safety to
I know,
the air
but
traffic
everybody's
controls.
replaceable, and we'll get very good people to replace them if
a
it turns
good
out to
way to
be
put it.
more than we thought. It could be a lot, it could be a little, we don't know, but we'd love to have them leave. We're trying to remember this. We want them to go into the private sector. It's our dream to have everybody almost working in the private sector, not in the public sector. We have many people, very few people came to work. They were, it started more or less with COVID,
Exactly,
but actually
Cindy.
even before COVID. But it started with the COVID, they didn't come back. And then Biden let them get away with murder. And we had a federal workforce, like 4% coming into the office. And that just doesn't work. People can say it does, but it doesn't work. You have to be unified in a group in the office. It's just, it was crazy. You don't know what they're doing. And then at some point, we may ask them to certify that they didn't have two jobs, meaning were they really getting a check from us, the government? And then were they also working a second job and a third job and, on government time? And many of them will say that they did, which is not legal, but it's a problem. It's a problem. No, we want to get that out. We want to clean it out. People have been trying to reduce federal government now for 40 years, 45 years, and they haven't been able to do it. And this is a way of doing it, I think, very nicely. It's sort of a buyout, too. I think we're treating people very good, but people don't come to the office. They won't have a job starting on that very special date. So we'll see how that works out. I mean, nobody knows how that's going to turn out.
Cindy.
Everybody might show up to
That's
the office.
crazy.
Maybe a large number won't show up. But if they don't show up, we've accomplished a very serious goal. We're trying to reduce government.
Does Mr. Musk or any of those associated with your DOGE effort, do they have any direct access through the government systems to how money is dispersed?
No, nothing. No, this has nothing to do also with the federal cutting, with this federal cutting. This is very separate. This is if you don't show up, you don't get paid. But DOGE, I think great progress has been made. We're talking about cutting over $1 trillion of waste. We're talking about waste. We're not talking about we're going to love and cherish Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. We're not going to do anything with that other than if we can find some abuse or waste, we'll do something, but the people won't be affected. It'll only be more effective and better. And as our country gets richer, the people on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, those people are going to be more secure. If Biden had gotten elected, Social Security was going to fail because the country was failing. It was going to fail. The country was going to fail. And therefore, the Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and all of the other things that you may get would not be able to be paid. Our country's getting very strong, and you see it. I think more progress has been made in the last 2 or 3 weeks than has been made in the last 4 years. I think not only has more progress been made in the last 4 years, it's I'll call it deprogress. We went way backward as a country in so many different ways, from woke to all of the other things that took place that were so bad. You look at Afghanistan, how embarrassing that was. I think Afghanistan really started the problem with Russia and Ukraine. When Putin looked over and he saw how incompetently that was handled, I was getting out, but I was going to keep Bagram. Right now, China has Bagram. I was going to keep one of the biggest air bases in the world. They left it. But other than Bagram, I was going to get out. And I wasn't keeping Bagram for Afghanistan. I was keeping it for China because it's 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. And we were keeping it. So we have a lot of great things happening in our country, and we appreciate that you're here. And I'm really thrilled about Doug, and I'm really thrilled about his friend, Chris Wright, who's a legend in the oil business, right? They keep telling me, Catherine, he's like a legend, and he's a legend too in a lot of businesses.
Yeah, sorry to
And
hear.
we have an amazing group of people working with us. There's a man behind me who became a tremendous success. He was not a wealthy man. He didn't start off a wealthy man, and he ended up a wealthy man. And that's a great talent, and he's willing to sacrifice so much and to put it to work for our country. Watch the job he does on the interior, but in particular on really making our country very, very wealthy by utilizing it properly. And at the same time, environmentally, he does it he's very much an environmentalist. He's going to do it very carefully and very
Holy moly.
painstakingly good.
Yeah,
But
that's not good.
you just watch what happens. And working with the Department of Energy, where his compatriot, his friend, and also considered the most talented man in the oil business, is the head of the Department of Energy, and they work together. It's almost like a partnership. It really is a partnership. And watch what that does for our country. It'll be a fantastic thing to see. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yeah, good man. I saw it. Thank you so much for the cash out. $5 cash out.
We're going.
Yeah, so that's real crazy, guys. That's real crazy. Yeah, so it's really crazy. Like, I don't know what Zelensky was trying to do, but it's really there was a really that meeting went and turned into a huge argument. It was good that Trump refused that mineral deal. It seems that the body language from Zelensky pretty much yeah, he has a bad body language though. Yeah, so what do you guys think? It's kind of crazy. There's also a helicopter crash. Yeah, it went through, Leanne. It went through. Yeah, that's right, Mr. Man. He did messed up. He really did messed up. Hello, Amanda. Good to see you. Signal at your service. Yeah. Don't forget Indians. No, I'm just joking. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, he really did messed up, Mr. Man. You're right. You're right about that. Could have have that mineral deal signed. Yeah. Nah, I shouldn't. You're right, Cindy. Yeah. I can't I mean, it's really crazy. And now Trump was so fed up with Zelensky. Um, there was a video. Let me see. Um, there was actually a video that told so he ordered Zelensky to leave. Yeah, so so Trump ordered Zelensky to leave the White House. I'll be uploading that. Exactly, Cindy. Exactly. That's what I'm very happy for Trump too. You don't need, I mean, you don't, nobody needs that in the States, to be honest. Nobody. There was let me share this out. Yeah, I'm gonna show that tomorrow. I'm gonna show it tomorrow. All right, let's.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has now left the White House after things got heated with President Donald Trump. The afternoon started with pleasant.
Yeah, going back to that. Oh yeah, going back to the J6ers. Jeremy Brown has been released on has been released from Atlanta, Georgia. There are four. There are four. Actually, there are four left. We're working on Benjamin Martin next. So yeah. Yeah, that's right, Leanne. Definitely. Yeah, four, yeah.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has now left the White House after things got heated with President Donald Trump. The afternoon started with pleasantries when Mr. Trump greeted his Ukrainian counterpart, but that energy quickly dissolved when the visit moved to the Oval Office. What was expected to be a photo opportunity between the two leaders became a contentious back and forth. The two clashed over the history and future of the war in Ukraine. And now there are questions swirling about the potential for a rare earth minerals deal that the two leaders were expected to sign this afternoon.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position. You don't have the cards right now.
Cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
President
lives of
Bush.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
What do you think
You're
about?
gambling with World War III. And
Yeah.
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to you.
Far more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Shortly after that meeting, the president took to Truth Social to say, quote, "I've determined that President Zelenskyy is not ready for peace if America is involved because he feels our involvement gives him a big advantage in negotiations." He went on to say, "I don't want advantage, I want peace." He disrespected the United States of America and its cherished Oval Office. He can come back when he is ready for peace. Now, this afternoon's joint
Yes,
press
indeed.
conference was also
Exactly.
quick. Let's bring in CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cortez. This was a true moment in history. It was spicy. I mean, how unprecedented is this type of exchange filled with so much tension?
Completely unprecedented, Chanel, and things keep going from bad to worse. We just learned that the president essentially kicked Zelenskyy out of the White House after that exchange. We're told that Zelenskyy and his aides wanted to try to smooth things over, but the president wasn't having it and told him to leave. There was a lunch that had been prepared for these two leaders to eat as they continued to negotiate behind closed doors. That went uneaten, and Zelenskyy departed. He is now slated to give a speech at the Hudson Institute, a research organization here in D.C. It's chaired by former presidential candidate Nikki Haley. And as far as we know, that speech is still on, and he's perhaps going to be able to give a story before he departs the U.S. But this is not ending in any way the way that Zelenskyy had hoped when he flew here to the United States, thinking that he was going to be signing a minerals deal with the president of the United States and talking about the terms for a peace deal to come.
Right. So what happens with that rare mineral deal that was supposed to be discussed today?
It's completely up in the air at this point. And as you read from President Trump's Truth Social, he says Zelenskyy isn't ready for peace and he can come back when he is. Now, President Trump is known to change his mind before, so we'll see if that happens again. He was actually sounding much more positive about Zelenskyy yesterday than he had in the months and years before. So anything is possible, but at this particular moment, Chanel, things could not be worse. And it's definitely going to be a cause for great concern for European officials in particular, who were hoping that things were now heading in the right direction after weeks of President Trump sounding like he was more on Putin's side than Zelensky's.
And speaking of that, Nancy, earlier this week, the president, we know, met with other European leaders. Could what happened today impact America's relationship with some of those other European nations?
Sure, although European nations have other concerns. For example, President Trump has threatened to impose tariffs on all European countries, in fact, all countries around the world, reciprocal tariffs. And so they are worried about heading those off and may be reluctant to criticize President Trump too directly when they are also quietly negotiating with the White House to try to head off those tariffs that could hurt not only U.S. consumers, but foreign consumers as well. Great concerns about a trade war with some of our closest allies. And so we saw Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, in the Oval Office yesterday. And while we know that he has a very different view of the Ukraine war than President Trump does, he really downplayed any disagreement because he is working so hard behind the scenes to head off those tariffs that he believes would hurt his economy.
Okay, Nancy, thank you so much.
Yep. That says all about Zelensky. But I'm really glad Trump stuck up for himself. The bottom feeding news media literally ate Zelensky's lunch. How funny is that here, itch? You can have that other itch's food. Yeah, definitely. Oh, no worries, Cindy. No worries. All right, guys. Yeah, so it's definitely crazy. I'm gonna be uploading a video about that argument that Trump had with Zelensky. It's kind of crazy, but I don't know. Yeah. This is actually a breaking news at some point, like the meeting at the Oval Office. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to sign off here. I'm gonna be doing a panel tomorrow around 5. Thank you all for coming in, and thank you all for all the support you've given me, especially for Leanne, who gave me a lot of these donos, the $5 through Cash App. Thank you so much for the support, and thank you all for the likes, 17 likes. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, Alwina, good to see you. Yours just came in. We were actually talking about Trump and Zelensky meeting at the Oval Office. All right, guys, take care, and I'll actually see you tomorrow around 5. Peace out. Good night.